All right. Hey, friends, this is Ben here, Benjamin Theodore. Welcome to the first episode of the Benjamin Theodore podcast, where we'll dive into songwriting, where I tell stories about songs, where I show you how my songs are made, how the production is done, and we'll just talk about music and have a lot of fun. So thank you so much for checking this podcast out. I was thinking about doing a podcast for a long time, actually. As an independent artist nowadays, you can't just make music and then release it, maybe post on Instagram with "it's out now" post to promote your music. That just isn't going to cut it. So I was thinking for a long time about how can I share more about my music and why I make music, and maybe make it a little fun. Maybe have a little fun with you and just talk about music, man. I love music. Since I was a little boy, I was making music. I was actually 6 years old when I started playing the drums. But well before that, I was already playing drums on my mom's pans and pots in the kitchen, and just ruining dinner time with me drumming on the table. And that was a lot of fun. I remember that. But so when I was 6, my parents decided it was time for me to have my first drum kit, and I'm grateful to them till this day that they always supported me when I was making music from an early age. I got to go to drum lessons and learn about music always. They even, when I was in high school, they even let me go to studio sessions instead of going to school sometimes, which was very cool. I learned a lot about that. But before we dive into my entire childhood, I wasn't planning on that. Today, I wanted to share with you about how I made my song "Always Wanna Love You," which is out now. And it's actually one of the first collaborations I did. For some reason, all my life, I of course, I've been in bands and I was playing with other people, but when it came to my solo project, the Benjamin Theodore music, I'm sort of a lone wolf. You could call me a control freak as well, but I'd like to be in control of my own music, and also because I have a lot of fun making it, making the drums, playing the guitars, writing the songs, doing the mixes. I'd like to do everything because that's for me what the fun is, where the fun part is. So I was talking to someone, I'm not going to name him, and I was asking him for advice on how could I advance this music career thing. I really want to work with certain people, and that's kind of my dream, to work with certain guys and in the industry. And I was asking for advice, and he told me, "Yeah, man, your music sounds great, you're doing great stuff, but what you're not doing is collaborating with people." So yeah, that was very true. So I started reaching out to a couple of people, and I got in contact through my other YouTube channel where I talk about music production with a guy named Siert. He's from Friesland in the Netherlands, which is in the north of the Netherlands, and he is a music production student, which I didn't even know when we met in the studio somehow. I just knew he was a producer, and he made great music, and he had some success on Spotify. He had a couple of record deals with a couple of singles, so I was very intrigued by that. But for some reason, we got together, and he came to my studio in Arnhem, which I had that time. And he had a couple of ideas which were amazing, because what I do when I write songs, I usually start on a guitar or on a piano, most of the times on guitar, and I start writing from that. I approach songwriting from a very song-based perspective, while Siert, he was approaching writing songs from a more of an electronic point of view. So he was producing in Ableton, and he had all these musical ideas, this sort of soundscapes, as you will. So it was more of like a musical sketch, but it was based on electronic drums and synths, and he was doing a lot of sound design, and that was incredibly intriguing to me because I don't approach music that way. So he just played me a couple of ideas he had, and I started to, listen to it and see if I could get in the groove of certain ideas. And then at a certain point he played this stuff which was very atmospheric, but also had a doom da doom da doom da doom da doom da, this kind of beat into it. And I started writing. And I think this combination of the two of us worked really well because he approached it like a very modern producer. He's a lot younger than me as well. And I got to bring my songwriting experience, my lyrical experience, my melody experience to the table. I also played a couple of guitars. I recorded the vocals. So together we wrote this song. It's called Always Wanna Love You. I'm just going to play it for you. It's also on Spotify. So if you like this song, you could, of course, play it there, stream it there. But I'm going to play it for you now, here live in the Benjamin Theodore podcast. I met you on a summer day. We were golden. I always thought that you would stay with me. I heard you talking on the phone the time in London. Now I'm so scared to be alone, so stay. I'll never ever let you go again. I always wanna love you, baby. Even when I lose you out of sight, I always wanna love you, baby. Even when you're miles away, and I have to drive for days just to see you again. I wanna see you, I will be there. I always wanna love you, baby. But why do you have to shut me out and leave me guessing? It feels like we are slowly dying out. I'm holding on. I'll never ever let you go again. I always wanna love you, baby. Even when I lose you out of sight, I always wanna love you, baby. Even when you're miles away, and I have to drive for days just to see you again. Just let me see you, I will be there. I always wanna love you, baby. I'll never ever let you go again. I always wanna love you, baby. Even when I lose you out of sight, I always wanna love you, baby. Even when you're miles away, and I have to drive for days just to see you again. I wanna see you, I will be there. I always wanna love you, baby. 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 All right, so that's called Always Wanna Love You. I'm sorry if you were hearing some clicks and pops during playback. I'm increasing the buffer size here in Logic just for a sec. Let's put it to 512. When the buffer size is too low in Logic, it could introduce some clicks and pops. So when you have big sessions, so I forgot to do that. So apologies. So that is Always Wanna Love You. And fun fact, this isn't the original track that Siert and I made when we got together in the studio about a year ago. This is a complete remake I actually did a few weeks back, because after we got together for the day, we never really got to finish the song. There wasn't a bridge section, which we just didn't have the time for to figure out. It wasn't really mixed and stuff like that. There still needed to be work done. There needed to be some, how do you say that? English isn't my first language, so apologies if I sometimes mess up the words. But anyway, we just couldn't get together afterwards for some reason. I tried reaching out a couple of times, but he was busy. I was busy, life happens. So we never really got together. And then I moved to Portugal, where I am right now. And so I said, oh man, I now I have the time and space to work on Always Wanna Love You. Could you please send me the files? But he upgraded his laptop and he somehow lost the original project file, which is kind of sucked, because he had all this elaborate soundscapes built, which I don't know how to build, and he was busy. And so, but at a couple of weeks ago, at one certain night, I decided now I'm just going to remake this, and I fortunately got to cut some parts from the original demo. Wait, I can play you the original demo here. Just a short part. This has never been played.
I met you on a summer day. We were golden. I always thought that you would stay with me. I heard you talking on the phone. The time in London.
So yeah, that's just a little bit. But I got to cut some of the sound design parts out. For example, this part, that part, and which I just, there were the vocals besides from the "Oh, I just wanna love you, baby," that part, and there were a couple of other parts which I could borrow from the original demo and incorporate in my new track, and I completely remade it. So now it starts with this big pad, which is being pitched up. So it's intentionally very low in the track. So if you press play on this part, at first you think, hey, wait, why isn't there anything playing? But it builds and then boom, it hits you, and then the first verse starts immediately. Maybe you've noticed that this song is very fast in terms of song structure. So now we're getting into a little bit of songwriting. It starts fast and it ends fast, and that is because now the music nowadays is very fast. People don't have a big attention span, so of course you can do anything you want, but with a song like this, which is a very pop song, which I wanted to be a very poppy song, it's good to move fast, because that keeps people engaged, that keeps people listening. So it starts fast, and with end fast I mean
I always wanna love you, baby.
there's no outro whatsoever. It's just always wanna love you, baby, and then it stops. So it stops on the hook of the song. Then the main hook is of course the always wanna love you, baby. And that is something that is being incorporated throughout the song. Even, after the first chorus, there's that hook again. And that, if it's, if it works, then that is something that you, that stays stuck in your head. And that is what I want as a songwriter, as a producer, that the main hook is being stuck in your head. So yeah, it's in the key of B flat major. So let's do some guitar stuff real quick here. So the chord structure is very simple. It's very easy. It's E flat major 7, F major, E flat major 7, E flat major 7, yes. And then F. But that F is like with an added, what's that? I have a capo on here. So that's an B flat, added B flat. And these are some of my favorite chords, you know, these chords or this. I always like to add colors to chords, you know, to sort of spice things up and to enhance the emotion, because you're always, you know, you're communicating through emotion. Music isn't just chords and mathematics, which of course it is, but it's also, it communicates through that mathematics, through that chord structures, through emotions. And with certain colors, certain songs, or certain chord structures, you can evoke certain emotions. So I always like, you know, these type of chords. Guitar is a bit out of tune, but it's based around this guitar progression that keeps playing throughout the song, which is it. Very 80s. And then in the chorus, never ever let you go again. I always wanna love you. Even when I lose you out of sight, I always wanna love you, baby. Even when you're miles away, and I have to drive for days just to see you again. I'll be there, I always wanna love you, baby. So that is basically the entire song. It's very simple, but it's got a lot of those kind of guitar parts. Yeah, so this is the original loop that Siert and I made. Or at least a part of it. A beautiful soundscape. But besides that, nothing is original. I remade everything. So this is how my track sounds. I met you on a summer day. And I just couldn't remake those soundscapes. So I'm really glad that I got to borrow it from that track. These are the drums. Remind me a bit of a Pharrell track. It sounds a bit like Happy. Because I'm happy. No. Then we have this soundscape here. A bass guitar, which is just a Logic bass, but then it's layered with the Moog bass, which adds that kind of sub-low. And then there are all these guitars, of course. A high part, chords, pant, left, right. Then there are acoustic guitars. That makes the entire thing really wide. Then there's these harmonies in the second verse. Feels like we're slowly dying out, but I'm holding on. Feels like we are slowly dying out, but I'm holding. What I always try to do is make things interesting and add a little bit of contrast. So a trick I do a lot is I make the second verse 50% shorter, so it's only half the length of the verse. And you know, in the first verse you can kind of set the mood a little bit, introduce the story, and then you go to the chorus. But the chorus is the most important thing that people listen to. So you might say that after they've heard the first chorus, they are satisfied. they heard what the song is all about. So you have after that, then you enter a critical stage in the songwriting or in the production where you kind of where the chances are high that you lose people. So you have to make things interesting. So I like to speed things up there and make it 50% shorter, and also when you are at the half point of the second verse, I also like to introduce a little twist, and that's this 3-part harmony that's being introduced. So
why do you have
this
to
is the
shut
second
me
verse.
out and leave me guessing? It feels like we are slowly dying out, but I'm holding on.
And then we're entering the second chorus. So we're back in what people want to hear. Don't bore us, get to the chorus. That applies to a lot of pop songs, at least. So this is what it sounds in context.
Why do you have to shut me out and leave me guessing? It feels like we are slowly dying out, but I'm holding
So
on.
people are like, oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. And before they realize it, they're back in the chorus.
I'll never ever let you go again.
But I'm not a typical producer in the sense that there can't be any quote unquote boring parts. So when we go to the bridge, which was sort of left open when we made the original demo, I thought about maybe we should have a rapper do something, or I should write a bridge, but bridges aren't very modern in that sense. But, I love bridges. So what I did, I just made it a big cool soundscape, which I think is beautiful, and it's not necessarily something that pop songs do nowadays, but I just do my thing.
Love you, baby.
So it's let's just play a little bit.
I'll never ever let you.
So it's kind of interesting. It's based on this part from the original demo, which fortunately I could just copy and paste. This thing. Beautiful. This is all seared. But I just build on that. I made a choir, which is something that I love to do. I really wanted to be able to do this. So when I was making my album, The Eternal Optimist, then I started trying this, layering vocals. I wanted to make huge layers of vocals, and this is something that I did here as well. So there's this low part, second harmony, third, fourth, fifth. So in the track it gets kind of buried, Here in this mix you can hear it properly, but in the final master, it's a lot more compressed and stuff, so it kind of gets lost a little bit, I think, but it's okay. And then I thought, well, there needs to be some sort of rhythmic stuff happening because it's too boring basically. So I added a guitar part. It's just me noodling around, but I reversed it, so that's this part. That's not something that you hear a lot in pop songs, right? So I thought that was quite kind of interesting. Sounds beautiful. Yeah, so and then we're back into the final chorus.
I'll never ever let you go again. I always wanna love you, baby. Even when I lose you out of sight.
These are the vocal parts.
Love you, baby. Even when you're miles away.
Which are very
and
tight.
I have to drive for days just to see you again. I will be there. I always wanna love.
They have some ad-libs, of course, in between.
I wanna love you, baby. Even when I lose you out of sight, I always wanna love you, baby.
And then there's something that I do that's basically like a big middle finger to all pop structures, which nowadays would never have an elaborate guitar solo. But you know, I love guitar solos. I'm a big John Mayer fan, and I bought this PRS Silver Sky Strat, so I wanted to make a guitar solo. So it ends on the guitar solo. And it even has a guitar harmony. Amazing, right? I love it. I love it. So let me play just a little bit for you there. So and then we go up. So that's guitar solo. The funny thing is about, you know, these kinds of parts, I played them once and then almost never again, unless I'm playing it live or something. But nowadays I'm barely playing live, or almost never, I have to say. So each time I have to replay a part of a song of mine, I have to relearn it. So that's the entire song, Always Wanna Love You. It's written by me and Siert. And it's available on Spotify or wherever you listen to music. So go and stream that if you like the song. It would help me a lot if not only you would like the song on Spotify or on YouTube, or and follow me there. That's really important for the algorithm as well. But this podcast is brought to you by my brand new Patreon page. So if you like what I do, if you would like to support my music, you could become my patron. And I made a special Patreon page. It's kind of a Dutch equivalent of Patreon. It basically works the same, but it's much easier if you are a Dutch person. So hallo allemaal. I just wanted to make that for you, and it's not just if you become a patron that you are just supporting me financially, which helps me out incredibly, because the more, you know, I'm being supported by people like you, I can spend more time making music, which I think is my life's purpose. You know, it's my life's mission. It's what I'm here to do. Making music and sharing that with the world, and making the world a better place, just a little bit, hopefully a lot. So each time that you support me, you enable that. You enable me to invest more time and resources into my music. So thank you in advance. But you are getting something in return as well. If you become my patron, you get access to what I call the Vault, which contains unreleased tracks and demos that nobody has ever heard before. Also, you get to hear new songs before they are released. So I share, early demos, early mixes, but also singles, EPs, and albums before they are released. And if you choose one of the upper tiers, then you could even get like a custom song made, and there's some extra stuff as well that you can all see on the Patreon page. So there's a link down in the description. So go and check that out, and consider becoming a patron of mine, supporting my music. Thank you very much in advance. This is the first episode of the Benjamin Theodore podcast, but I have 2 other episodes already released. So if this podcast is done, you could continue listening to the other 2 episodes, and I'm planning on doing a season. At this point, I'm not going to promise you how many episodes that will be, but it's my intention to do a season of episodes, just to try out this podcast format for this show and to see how it goes. I'm not going to promise you to release episodes every week, because I'm not able to promise you that I can keep that up, but it's my intention to do a season. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Please let me know by leaving a comment or leaving a review or wherever you listen or watch this podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had too. See you in the second episode, where I talk to you about another song of mine. We'll go in depth or share stories about that and stuff like that. So thank you, and see you later. Peace.